Hey everybody, this is Adam from Alentado Training Consultants, getting ready to share something useful for folks trying to improve their Spanish pronunciation. I call this the 4-step Spanish pronunciation hack. Now, if you haven't already been through an ATC training, you might want to check out our video on the general rules of Spanish pronunciation and then come back to this one. So if you want to be understood when you're speaking any language, you'll have to learn to place the correct emphasis on the proper syllable, right? But in Spanish, stressing the wrong syllable can change a word's meaning, which means sometimes you'll think you've said one thing when everybody else thinks you've said something else. Or you're just completely incomprehensible and people think you've been drinking or had a stroke or something. And we certainly wouldn't want that. How do you figure out which syllable in a Spanish word gets stressed? The traditional academic approach would be to master the rules of syllabification and spend a long time learning to identify an acute stress versus an unwritten stress and the difference between a diphthong and a hiatus and a syllabic consonant. Yikes. I'm getting a headache just thinking about that. But here's the thing. Most native speakers of Spanish don't know any of that stuff. I certainly didn't know it growing up, though I did have to get a handle on it when I started teaching the language, and I can tell you that was the opposite of fun. But I think I've figured out a way to spare you the suffering and hack all these rules by boiling them down to just the essential parts needed for pronouncing a word when reading it out loud. And I can get that all into 4 simple concepts. With a little practice, you'll be able to nail the pronunciation of anything you read in Spanish, and that'll have a big effect on your learning curve. So here's concept number 1. Count the vowels. The rules of syllabification are all about properly dividing words up into exact syllables, but we don't really have any use for that. We're just trying to figure out where the stress in the word or the inflection is placed. Almost all syllables are built around vowels, so if we count the vowels, that gives us what we really need a lot quicker. In this example, we have 1, 2 syllables, right? How about here? 1, 2, 3. And here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Get it? Okay, that leads us up to concept number 2. Diphthongs count as 1. So 2 vowels that appear next to each other in a word are usually called a diphthong. Sometimes they are actually called a hiatus, but that's not important right now, so we'll stick with diphthong. If you see 2 vowels together, just count 1 like this. That's 1. 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3. There you go. Okay, now for concept number 3. It all works out in the end. That means the last letter of the word will dictate which syllable gets stressed. There's an exception to this we'll cover in a minute with concept number 4. But for now, if there's any vowel or the letters N or S on the end of a word, then the second to the last syllable of the word gets the emphasis or the stress. This means that it gets a slight upward inflection of the voice and usually a subtle increase in volume too. So now we come back to this example with 2 vowels, and the last one is on the end. Salga, right? Second to the last. In this case, the first syllable gets the stress. And here, because it ends in S, we say salgas. And again, the second to the last syllable gets stressed. Remember, the same goes for words ending in N. Salgan. It doesn't matter how long a word is either. Sospechoso, sospechosos, etc. Now, if there's any other consonant besides N or S, then the last syllable of the word gets stressed. Postal, libertad, tener. Okay, now for concept number 4. A written accent overrides everything. That means if there's a written, or what's called an acute accent over any vowel in the word, everything else goes out the window, and you just stress the vowel with the accent mark. So now we have donde, teléfono, éxito. A written accent mark even breaks up diphthongs into separate syllables. Nació, voltéese, siéntese. So let's review the 4 parts of this particular hack. Number 1, count the vowels. Number 2, diphthongs count as 1. Number 3, it all works out in the end. And number 4, a written accent mark overrides everything. If you can memorize and eventually internalize these 4 concepts, your pronunciation in Spanish will improve dramatically. Spend a little time with this and let us know how it works out for you. Also, please check out our other videos and visit our website at www.alentadotc.com. Thanks for watching.